Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Survivor
Amateur.
versus Connoisseur. I'm Derek, the Connoisseur,
And I'm Matthew, the amateur.
and we are going to go episode by episode, season by season, talking about every season of Survivor. And you will get two different perspectives. Someone who has been a connoisseur, I will say proudly, been a fan since ever. My first ever memory is watching season three with my mother.
Oh,
And then you get Matthew's perspective.
and my perspective is shit.
No, it's
I'm
just new.
no, my perspective is new, as in so new as in my very first season that I watched live was season 45. And since then, I've just retroactively decided to watch all the seasons. And that's where the amateur comes in because I have no knowledge of anything about Survivor. I'm not spoiled. I don't know what makes a good Survivor season. I don't know what makes a good Survivor game. But that's what we're here to talk about because Derek is here to educate me.
Not just educate you, but it's fun to see your perspective and your opinions without being tainted by like fandom. Like you've
Hmm.
avoided fandom basically to avoid spoilers.
Oh, absolutely. And the craziest part too is that I don't even interact with Survivor posts online that much. And so therefore the algorithm doesn't show me on any social media, doesn't show me anything about Survivor. So I just am not spoiled about anything. I know nothing about most of the seasons other than the seasons I've watched. Um, and it's kind of crazy that I've just like gone 20 some odd years, 24 years now with like little to no spoilers whatsoever.
And I think that'll be the fun part of this podcast is like hearing your unfiltered, not like, just trying to fit in with what the fandom is saying. Like, I want to hear what you think
Right.
about these seasons that are over 20 years old.
No, because I feel like with this podcast, we are going to be like digging up dead and buried tea and drama that happened on the show from 20 years ago because it's my first time going to be experiencing all this drama. So therefore, I'm gonna have opinions on said drama. Meanwhile, it's like dead and buried in the water. And yeah, this is pretty much it. But we're gonna act like it's brand new because it's new to me. It's fresh to
Exactly.
me.
Exactly. So, Borneo, the first season of Survivor. We're talking the year 2000. Isn't that the year you were born?
I was born in 2001, Diva. Don't age me that much.
Whoa, okay. So this it was filmed in March of 2000 and it
Wow.
aired in May of 2000. So like there really was not they edited this so quickly. There was like a 2 month uh uh period of time where it was filmed to when it was aired.
Girl, what edit? They left everything in. They left everything.
Yeah. What was okay, so you started watching, the newer seasons. What was it like going back and seeing the Genesis?
It was like such a time capsule because even when, like as you know, like I'm such a big Drag Race diva, and even like rewatching Drag Race in 2009, it felt like a time capsule of that time. But even between the year 2000 and 2009, or between the first season of Survivor and the first season of Drag Race, even that was just a different time, you know what I mean? And so it was kind of like revisiting season one of Survivor, where especially having the perspective of like the newer seasons where like everybody knows how to play the game. It was fascinating to watch season one where everyone was like, what do I do? It was very much like they were treating this like a survivalist show rather than like a game show.
Yes. Well, and it was so fun to see the edit. Like, I feel like this was a rough edit, and obviously they had two
Yeah.
months to edit it, so whatever. But like, there was so much just like bland, and like the challenges specifically are so hard to get through because it's not Jeff narrating like, Pagong in the lead or whatever. It's
Right.
literally just like adventure music from some like royalty free
Right.
whatever and footage of them. Like it's so
Right. And then every now and then they'll have like the little tally with the Comic Sans font that's like
yes.
Pagong one and Tagi two or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. It's so interesting just to see how television has changed. Cause like
Right.
I'm sure this felt very normal to watch back then, but everything is
Yeah.
so punchy and like fast paced now. Like if you aired this edit in 2024, people would be throwing tomatoes at the editors.
Right. Right. It's like it's so lazy, quote unquote, but like lazy that's so indicative of the year 2000. You know what I mean? Like there was a certain level of laziness in that era of reality TV that was almost kind of chic at the time. I don't know if that makes sense, but like lazy was the norm then. And I'm going to say that lovingly with I'm sorry to all the divas that were like young and vibrant in the year 2000, but there was like a laziness that was chic at that time that I feel like kind of filtered into entertainment and media. And I feel like we kind of saw that with Survivor. But with that being said, Survivor, I do recognize as kind of like the birth of not game shows, but like reality competition
Oh yeah.
series. So that was kind of like, they didn't know what they were doing. And so I feel like they had every right to be kind of just give a product that they didn't really feel confident in, but just kind of threw it out to the public.
Yeah, no, like so in the US, this was groundbreaking. Like this was,
Right.
taken from the format of this was taken from Expedition Robinson, which was a Swedish show.
Huh?
So there was a show called Expedition Robinson in
Girl.
Sweden that had this very, very similar format. And the US took it and was like, we're going to make our own thing and call it Survivor. So, like, it wasn't the first thing ever, but for the US, this was
Right.
absolutely groundbreaking for television, for reality television. And from this, you get like Big Brother and Fear Factor and The Amazing Race and
Right.
those kind of shows in in the early 2000s that were showing what like reality competition could be.
Could be. Expedition Robinson. Have you ever watched that?
No, maybe we should do that just to like see.
That's going to be on like a special 50th episode of
Yes.
Amateur versus Connoisseur. It's just Expedition
Yes.
Robinson.
I would be that's actually kind of fun. I would love to do that.
That's
Um
so Swedish. I
it
apologize.
is. It is. But what did you think about Jeff as a host this season?
Okay, that actually I do want to ask, like, before I answer your question, I do want to ask, like, who is Jeff Probst? Like, what? Okay, that was a poor way to phrase that question, but like, what qualified him to like host this? Was he like famous beforehand, or was he just kind of a guy they casted?
He was breaking into hosting positions. He was hosting a musical Jeopardy, which
Okay,
I watched a couple of episodes on a date once with a guy, and it was like he was like a Jeopardy host,
okay,
and he was hosting like some other random shows. Like he hadn't had his big break, but he was definitely like he was gigged, but he wasn't breaking through. And
right,
it
right,
wasn't until he got Survivor where he's one of those people where he's famous for one thing and one thing
hmm
only. And that's
right.
Survivor.
Very like Ryan Seacrest, I feel like.
Yeah,
Like
but
I
I
know
would
Ryan
say
Seacrest doesn't have like one show, but he's like famous for just like hosting specifically, you know?
honestly that Ryan Seacrest has surpassed Jeff Probst because Ryan Seacrest has been like a radio host for years and years and years.
So a
Like
host.
but like he was doing radio. Like Jeff Probst is only known for Survivor, nothing
That's fair.
else, not any other project. He had a daytime talk show for one season that my mother was a very big fan of.
Shout out to your mom.
And but like it's just Survivor. He has no other media that people would know him for.
That's fair. That's fair because like why else would I ask? Because I'm like, who is this man? You know, not in an offensive way, not like in a way where I'm just like, who are you? But I'm just like, who is Jeff Probst? You know?
Yeah.
But as a host, I thought he did like a good job for his first time. I thought he like I don't think he had the dramatic timing that he does nowadays because he's been doing this for 47 seasons. But I think he kind of like had a good pace of what the show was looking for in a host. And I feel like to be a host of Survivor, it doesn't take that much, But I think he did well in his first gig as a Survivor host, I think. Why?
Yeah.
What did you think of him?
I mean, I feel like he's like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, which is kind of what
Right.
everyone was feeling. It was kind of like a shot in the dark.
Step
Let's
Rich.
see what
Right.
works. And this was, Mark Burnett, who's the executive producer for like a lot of the first portion of the show before kind of Jeff took over. This was Mark Burnett's vision, and everyone was there to do whatever he wanted. So you could tell that
Okay.
Mark was like, Jeff, here's what we could be doing. And Jeff is like, okay, I'm going to wing it.
Right.
And I think there was a lot of winging going on this season, even with some of the catchphrases and stuff. Like Jeff would just like say in the moment. And then Mark Burnett would be like, I like that. We're keeping that. Do that every episode.
Like what? Looks like
Like
the tribe has spoken.
yes, Jeff, I
Okay.
think it was like we need something to say when they go home, and it's like they were like coming up with random stuff,
We need
and
to put something on a t-shirt. Right, right.
yes, and Jeff was like, let's do like the tribe has spoken, and then Mark Burnett's like, sure, let's go with it. Um,
Okay.
and there's like a whole book about this. Like that would honestly be kind of cool too to like go over like the book of like
You want
what.
me to read a
Like,
book for this podcast? Girl.
sorry, we'll do the audiobook version. Is that good enough?
I was
Um,
an English major. I can do it. Don't worry.
but it was a very much like guerrilla filmmaking. Like we are just going to we have $1 million prize and a dream, and we're going to see what happens.
Right.
Even
Go
the
ahead.
contestants weren't necessarily sure exactly what it was going to be.
They thought it was like a survivalist show before like the game show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, like literally, I'd say like three-fourths of this cast was like, I'm here to like win at Survivor. I'm here to win like over nature. I think a lot of them like were like walking into this thinking like this is gonna be a theme around man versus nature, when it really is a story about man versus man, you know.
Do you really think like Rudy is going to sign up if it's like outwit and outlast and outplay and strategize with your fellow like Rudy be like, fuck you, I'm not doing that.
Right. Rudy was there just to have a good time, I think. I don't even think it, no, I don't even think he was there to have a good time. I think he was just there, period.
BB Anderson was not like, oh, I'm here to strategize, bitch.
No, 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 no. And it was funny though, because it did feel like I feel like I don't remember if it was Rich or maybe it was like Sue who was like they kept saying is like, you know, the theme of the show, the title of the show is like Survivor, Outlast, Outwit, Outplay, or whatever it is. And they were like they kept reciting that through the entire season, but everyone else just like kind of didn't read that part of the title, you know? I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was very fascinating.
I would argue that the only people that were there to play a strategic game and were truly like, I'm willing to cut, I'm willing to strategize and align myself, blah blah, were Rich, Sue, and Stacey.
Who's Stacey?
She went home very
Wait.
early because she was trying to bring the girls together.
She was the diva who was like, we need to get rid of Rich, wasn't
Yes,
she? Okay,
yes.
okay.
Um, and I feel like
Yes.
everyone else was there to have an adventure or like prove to themselves they could do it,
Right.
like make a society.
Oh my God. I think okay, this is off topic, but I as many of our listeners probably know at this point is like I've watched like seasons 1 through season 6. My one of my favorite moments of Survivor in like these first couple seasons is what's his name? I think from season 4, maybe
Gabe.
season 3, where he's like, I I came out here to prove that we can build a utopia with just the very objects of our nature or some shit like that. And that is, I think, one of my favorite Survivor moments of all time. Like I adore that. And I feel like that plagued a lot of the mindsets in these early seasons, which I really love.
And I like how he said that, and they literally were like, anyways, voted him off the next day. And they're like, get out of here.
They were so real. They were so real.
If you were on Survivor by like season 4, where like there had been some backs, and someone said that to you, what would your reaction be?
Girl, I would get rid of them. Like I would bully them, I think. I think I would bully them. Like maybe not even vote them out right then and there, but I think I would like bully them. I would make fun of them.
It'd be like you'd wake up in the morning and be like, hey, members of our society.
Like it's giving like very 2019 when like Joker had just come out and everyone at that time was like, we live in a society. It's like, girl,
You wake up with your cup of water, another day in
right.
Utopia.
You read the Communist Manifesto one time and all of a sudden, like it's like, okay. Like it's not that I don't agree with like I would love to build a utopia, but girl, you sound so stupid right now.
Yeah. So I think we can start diving into the season, the cast, and we're going to, in every episode, grade these people's games. And let's just say this season, I'm
There's
not
only
giving
gonna
out many A's.
I was about to say, like, this is literally gonna be a spoiler for the podcast. There's probably gonna be one singular A I'm giving out this entire season.
Yes.
And I think we all know who it is.
Yeah. So like this is gonna be some rough grades. We're not grading on a what is it called? A slope, a scale. What is it
Oh,
called?
what's it? A curve. We're not
A
grading on a
curve.
curve.
We're not grading on a curve. There's no curve to be had. So starting off with the recently deceased and absolutely beloved Sonja Christopher, who many people will call her Suna, famously spelled by Sue Hawk. What did you think about Sonja, our very first person voted off of Survivor.
The pork chop of Survivor. She
That's
was
what Survivor.
lovely. She was lovely as a person. She was never gonna win, never in a million years. I think the furthest she could have made it was probably the third elimination. But she was a lovely, lovely human. Her singing Blue Hawaii or whatever that song is called, Blue Moon or whatever it is. I thought that was like a very nice, cute, fun moment in the premiere. But she was nice. Still gonna give her an F, but she was lovely.
I'm okay for me. Pour moi.
Mhm.
Fs are for people who I think like actually, from just my grading scale, people who were actively like sabotaging their own game, like
Mm.
doing things that are like fucking up your game,
So for you, an F is like if they had a game to begin with at all.
like flameouts.
Okay.
I would give like okay, a C game, like a regular C for me is like you did absolutely nothing right, but also absolutely nothing wrong.
Okay. Okay. I see the vision.
So I'm gonna give Sonja a D plus because
Okay.
now, like post show, we know that Rich was in huge danger. This episode kind of paints it as like, ooh, Rudy or Sonja, like which of the elders is going home? But
Mhm.
Rich was also in major danger, and it wasn't
Yeah.
until he two things he comes out to the group, and for the first 2 days he'd been kind of like reserved and just kind of like his weird self, but he comes out to them, and it's like a bonding moment.
Mhm.
uh, and it also is Sonja tripping and falling in the challenge because it was a
Oh, I
pretty
forgot that
close
happened.
challenge. And Sonja tripping and like them having to drag her, they realized like she might be a liability. So if it
Mhm.
wasn't for that, I think Sonja would have survived this first vote and maybe even the second vote because
Right.
if Rich isn't there to vouch for Rudy, Rudy probably goes second.
Mhm.
And then Sonja might go next, or who knows what happens then.
From the Tagi tribe.
Yes, yes, from the
Mhm.
top tribe. So I think I'm gonna give her like a D plus. She was lovely.
Okay.
She got along with people. She
Yeah.
just is not physically as helpful as some other people.
Right. Right. I see what you mean. Still gonna give her an F though.
No, I love that we're like different. We're thinking about things different. Like I
Very
love we
much.
have two different perspectives.
I'm coming from like I said, like I will say this a million times in the podcast and I'll say it a million times again. I'm coming where Drag Race was my first really big jump into Survivor, not Survivor, reality competition TV. So I like that's the sort of like how I judge and scale. If you're first out, F. Yeah. Yeah. Just kidding, just kidding. I love Hershey LaCourgette. Also, this is off topic, but in order to reference, because we all know that I forget everybody's names on Survivor, I do have the Survivor wiki on my laptop right now, and it's so funny looking at like the elimination order, like to remind myself, and it's like Tagi Pagong, and then just straight up Pagong the
Yeah,
entire game. It's
yeah.
iconic.
I mean, that's where pagonging is like a thing. It's like a vernacular in Survivor, and it means when at the merge an entire tribe is just knocked out one by one by
Is it
one.
really
Pagonging,
Pagonging?
the verb
Wow.
to pagong.
Did you hear that ambulance? They're going to save the Pagong tribe.
It's too late. It's too late. It's a
20
DNR.
years too
It's a
late.
DNR.
24 years too late.
um, so next out is BB Anderson, and I think we
F
can,
minus.
yeah, I think we can talk about kind of the dynamics of early Pagong because it really is like the people who are there to have fun and the people who are there to like build a shelter, get the water, we're gonna die.
Right. Yeah, he was very much like, this is the apocalypse. Like he was literally there like, okay, we're going into this island off where the fuck is Borneo? I don't remember where Borneo is. We're going to go on this random island in Borneo, and we have to play this as if there's no world to go back to when we're done here. You know what I mean? Like he was
Yes.
like, we got to build a shelter, we need to package our food, da 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 da. And and I will say it was very fascinating in this early episodes, like really kind of pinning the generations together. I literally think the second episode is called The Generation Gap or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fun how like we had the young hot people who were like on Love Island that were like, "Ooh, I'm gonna build a bowling alley and blah 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 blah." And BB Anderson was like, "You're a fucking dumbass, lazy, helped me put this goddamn wall up. And it was very fun, I will say, but I didn't like him.
Yeah, I mean, this is like at this point, like BB was the start of an archetype of like the grouchy old man who putting the shelter up is a do or die moment. And they
Right.
all are like, you helped us with the shelter, but you're miserable. Get the fuck out of here.
Is that like a common thing?
Oh, yes. You will see it many, many, many times.
Yay. So
But
excited.
it's fun because like they always go home. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like they're annoying and then they go home.
Right. Which is which is what I wish happened to Rudy. But
Oh my god, that is a controversial take.
I know. I feel like even watching this show 24 years later, I feel like I have these takes sometimes where I'm like, I bet if I said this out loud, I would get like slammed on Reddit. I feel like, or maybe not even like cause a fight on Reddit for like the 20 people who still care about the first season of Survivor. I'd be like, Rudy should have gone home first.
Well, I think part of it is when you're watching this in real time,
hmm
a lot of the stuff that doesn't fly today wasn't a big deal back then. Like Big Tom
Right.
in Africa, if he was on season 47, he would be despised. Everyone would be blowing up. He wouldn't have social media, but if he did, he would be getting hate messages off the wazoo. Big Tom
Is
was
Big Tom damn? Damn.
no, that's chicken. Big Tom is he was with Ethan and Lex. He wears the overalls. Like someone like Big Tom was a huge hit because it's 2001, but
Right.
in 2024, no. Someone like
Because all the fans of Survivor in 2024 are queer.
yeah,
And
for the yeah,
yeah,
it's the Facebook moms versus like the gays. That's the two.
right.
So someone like Rudy, I think was so huge because like not only is he like a grouchy old man that's like, oh, he's so cute, but he also is like for the gays. I mean, maybe not for the gays, but he's like,
He's not, he like, how would I describe Rudy? He wasn't for the gays, but he was the gay. He was like giving very like queer baiter, not queer baiter in like the modern context, but he was like, I'm gonna use a queer person to get me further ahead. You know what I mean? Like it was very like social climby. Like,
I see. For me, it was like, look at this old man who is retired Navy or Army or something.
right.
Like very macho. Like him just saying on TV, my army buddies are probably gonna, make fun of me for being friends with a homosexual, but I think he's a pretty cool guy, so that's fine.
Right.
Like that was
Like,
revolutionary for the time.
wow, 2000, you really were.
Yeah.
It was funny though, because like he would just say things like his commentary on Rich as a queer person really cracked me up a lot of the time because he was just like, I'm not going to be friends with him outside of the show, but if I see him on the street, I'm going to shake his hand or something. It's like,
Yeah. He's like, I'm not sleeping next to him. Like, like,
right. Also, sorry we somehow got to Rudy when we were talking about BB, but they're the same person to me.
I mean, BB, I think Rudy is endearing in his
Mm,
grouchiness. I think BB is annoying in his grouchiness.
mm, so true. I agree.
I would give BB an F minus because not only does
Hell yeah.
almost quit, but basically like vote me out. I don't fucking care. I hate all of them.
Right.
And Gretchen is like trying to like keep this team of misfits together, but BB is the oil and the rest of them are the water. And I think
Mm,
after they get rid of BB, basically everyone else gets along great.
right, right. Yeah. F minus.
F minus. Now we're gonna talk about someone who she is the third out ever on Survivor, but
hmm
impact on not only this season, but just like the lore that she adds
The
is
lore.
oh, bitch. We'll get into Stacey
Oh,
Stillman.
let me sit back for this.
So Stacey for on the show, she's shown to be grading. She's like, we got to keep the girls together and get out these like old crusty men. Um,
Mm,
and so she kind of formed something with Kelly and with Sue. But Sue is kind of like playing all sides. Like Sue
icon.
came in like ready to play.
Right, right. Icon, legend.
Yes, Miss Sue Bird. Um,
Yes.
and so Sue turns on Stacey. They vote out Stacey. The lore comes in because she post season files a lawsuit against the show
For
because
what?
she claims the show, it was either going to be Rudy going or Stacey going. And her claims were that the producers loved Rudy and they hated Stacey, which you can tell just from the edit. Stacey does not get a good edit. Like they're both kind of grouchy
Mhm.
people, but for Rudy, it's shown as endearing. For Stacey, they're like, "Who's this bitch?" Uh,
Right, right.
she claims that both Sean and Dirk were asked to change their votes by production last minute from Rudy to Stacey.
Is that true?
There has been a lot of talk. There was a literal trial with like Dirk was there. I think that
It went to court.
yes,
It made it that
I
far.
think it was settled outside of court.
But the fact that
Um,
there was a trial at all.
I think that it's true. I think that it's true. That is just my opinion. And I have not read the legal proceedings. I don't know all the tea and all the quotes that everyone said there. I believe that to be true. I think that she's fully right. She's
Even
also
if it were true, she was never going to win. So what is she suing for?
because honestly, I think if she makes it through this vote, she makes it to the end.
Stacey Stillman?
I think because she was strategizing, she was willing to make alliances. And I think that I think that if Rudy is gone, there's a potential that Rich realizes he must work with Stacey.
Mm,
Because Sue
okay.
wanted Rich to stay. And
Right.
if Sue pulls in Rich, then suddenly that's a four. And they make it to merge. And then we see that they pagong the entire, other tribe and they make it to the end together. I'm not
Okay.
saying exactly what would happen, but it's a potential
Right.
thing.
That's true. That's true. But that's kind of crazy though.
And not only that, she also vouched for them to get. I think she's a lawyer.
She's
I
an attorney. I just
Yeah.
Googled it. Yeah.
She vouched for them to each get a large sum of money to attend the reunion because originally they were not going to get paid, or they were going to get paid very
Like the entire cast.
almost nothing to make the reunion. And she
Okay.
vouched that if they don't get a bigger sum of money because now they're all celebrities, and this is an appearance fee, then they're not going to go. And she was basically
Mm.
facilitating this, and they each got a much much larger sum of money to show up to the reunion.
Did that become like not a trend, but like did that become the norm for seasons after?
Yes, because then the show holds that sum of money over their head, so that
Uh,
like if you do something wrong, if you give out a spoiler, if you break contract, you're not invited to the
I
reunion and you don't get this giant sum of money to come to the
right.
like $10,000,
But
whatever it is.
right, right. Okay, okay. But also who watches the reunion? But but no, okay, I will say like I was kind of like I went into this podcast like thinking like Stacey, I'm like, girl, shut up. I kind of went into this, but like hearing that she's kind of like
Girl boss.
a girl boss outside of the show, I'm like, okay, maybe I can see the vision. I still think that her suing the show is like, girl, you blamed it on the edit. Blame it on the edit. Okay. But hearing that she like secured the funds for the other people, she's like a queen for the people. I kind of respect that. I do.
Yeah, yeah. So like I think that like it's hard to grade her for me because she was forward thinking. I just think
Hmm.
she's a bit too forceful and it turned Sue off.
Well, Sue, I feel like no, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Never mind. Yeah, I just think like actually no, we'll get into it now. Sue just like hates people who complain, I think. And I think like she perceived Stacey as complainy when
Mhm.
she was actually just trying to strategize, which maybe I could see how the tone might come off that way, but Sue was just like, I don't want her because she whines all the time, and Rudy is quiet. Rudy is silent. So maybe, I don't know. That's just my conspiracy theory. Sue's still my favorite player, but I
Yeah,
get the vision.
yeah. And I feel like Rich was smart here to know that Sue, like he basically pulled Sue in, right?
Hmm.
And pulling Sue in is kind of like what really, I think that was the thing that really got him to the end. Like he
Yeah,
needs someone who is willing to be just as cutthroat,
yeah.
strategize, make those moves. And I think with Stacey, if he were to team up with Stacey, Stacey would have been pushing for her, motives as
I
well.
I agree. I was gonna say like Stacey, I feel like compared to Sue would have been more of a wild card. I think Sue was very good at keeping her options open, but also being kind of discreet about keeping her options open. Like I think she knew that Rich was probably her strongest way to get to the end, but she was willing to like kind of like keep her partnerships open with other people who might not align with Rich. Stacey, I feel like was too vocal about like how what games she would want to play, I think, if that makes sense. Like, especially when she tried to pull in Kelly and Sue for her alliance, she was not keeping any secrets about that. She was like, we got to get rid of Rich or whatever she said. I don't remember who she was trying to gun against, but she really wanted to be open about that, where Sue rather was just like, I don't like Stacey. We gotta get rid of Stacey. It's kind of like that vibe. I respect that. And I think kind of Rich was smart for pulling Sue in rather than Stacey in. But
Well,
I
and
don't
I
know.
also think that Rich was able to offer something better to Sue than
Hmm.
Stacey was, because when she's with Kelly and Stacey, she's the third wheel. But with Rich, Rudy, and Kelly and her and Kelly are a duo, and Rich and Rudy are a duo. So it's
Right.
more even, and she's has more wiggle room there. It's like if
Yeah.
she goes to three with
Still got
Stacey
fourth,
and Kelly,
but
yeah, she goes to three with Casey and Stelly. Casey with Stacey and Kelly, she's out. Like she's not
mhm.
mixed two. But at
Yeah.
least at four with them, it's more
She
even.
has more of a chance. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like Stacey, I feel like I'm gonna give her like a C plus. Like I think the willingness to play, I feel like her having a game at all brings her up to like a D for me. And then I think she swung big. She swung big at the start of the game because she wanted to get Rich out early. I think she knew that Rich was going to be a huge threat. So I'm going to give her like a C plus. So I think she swung big. I respect the move, but it obviously didn't work. And she went home third, so I can't give her flowers like beyond that. But
Yeah, I think C plus is great because I do want to give her flowers for like thinking ways that people were thinking much like 3 seasons later. Uh,
right, right.
but I still think her personality and not being able to read social cues on how other people are like perceiving her
Hmm.
is what kind of got her out, and
Yeah,
that was all on her.
yeah. It's all her fault.
C plus. The fourth out is Ramona Gray off of Pagong. And Ramona was kind of an outsider because she got really sick when
Of
she,
course.
yeah, when she got there. And she was just never able to really like integrate herself because of that. And it just there was no when everyone else was so well bonded, she was the easy out.
She's a biochemist.
Yeah,
Good for her.
yeah.
Sorry, just like I look at their bios every now and then when like we're talking about these characters, and I'm just like, oh my God, she's a biochemist. Good for her. And then
Mhm.
Dirk's a dairy farmer.
Yes.
Yeah, Ramona, I have no strong opinions one way or another about Ramona. I'm not going to give her an F because I one thing I did like about her is like she knew she was on the fritz when she was about to go, and she tried to pivot last minute to like make her image more approachable, and like she tries to like bring effort in the camp. I respect that. I respect that like she actually like recognized where her position was in the competition, and she tried to pivot in order to like dig herself out of that hole. Obviously it didn't work, but I'm still gonna give her like a D there because I don't think she was willing to play the game, but like until the very last minute before she went home. So I'll give her like a D, maybe D minus. I'll give her, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a D as well. Like it sucks she's sick, but also like suck it up. I don't know what to say.
Right, right,
um,
right.
I will say that she was able to stay because she was like the other option at the BB vote, and she was able to stay there over someone who was doing a lot for the tribe. So she was
Mhm.
at least personable and likable enough that they were like, "Hey, she's not really doing much, but I'd still rather have her around than BB."
I
So
feel like anybody would vote not BB in that situation. I like,
yes.
or rather, I should
um,
say, everyone would vote for BB in that situation, no matter what. Is
yeah.
how I put. Yeah,
So good for her for that, but yeah, she couldn't survive her second tribal, and she seems like a lovely human, but I'm gonna give her like a
yeah.
D,
She seems wonderful.
yeah, D
I
minus,
would keep.
honestly. It was not
I would
great.
kiki. Yeah, no, I would kiki with her.
Oh, I would too. Up next we have Dirk Bean, who was kind of the religious zealot edit of the season. Like
Sell it.
I feel like on Tagi, it's a very kind of like it's a lot of older people, but they're all very chill. Dirk is this like high strung, church going virgin who's like creaming his pants over Kelly Wigglesworth and is like preaching the gospel of the Lord to them constantly. And Sue's like, shut the fuck up.
It's just like God, once again, I'm going back to like their bios on the Survivor Wiki and just like reading the fact that his luxury item was the Bible. It's just like love it, love it. It's so 2000s. I just can't like this felt like of all the seasons I've watched, and I want your opinion on this. In the very first couple seasons, this felt like a very Christian show.
I kind of disagree because like Dirk is the big like Christian guy on the season and he's edited to be like crazy.
Is he? Well, I'm thinking like just these first couple seasons. Like I'm thinking like Vesepia, and then like they put a lot of focus on Christianity in these early seasons, I thought.
I think that it comes and goes. Like there's seasons later where like there are full alliances just made because they're all Christians.
Oh, really?
And depending on, I think it's a case by case because you'll have someone like Leslie on China, the one who wouldn't do the opening ceremony because it was like
Love
against
her because she's
yeah,
like, we can't worship icons. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like they easily could have edited her to be psychotic, but she actually got a
Right.
really good edit. Um, but then there's Joanna on
Hmm.
Amazon who didn't want the idol because it's a false idol. And she's
Right.
edited to look crazy, and Dirk is edited to look crazy, but Vesepia is edited to look. I think it really just depends on like
Okay.
their personality, and if they are crazy, they're going to be edited to be crazy, and if they are grounded, they'll be edited to be more grounded.
Okay. Do you think like, and this is just an overall, not just Christianity pertaining, do you think Survivor has done an overall good job in representing different religions on the show?
I think
We're getting deep in this first episode of
I think until the new era, no. I think in the new era we've had like Omer, we've had some people who are like different religions than just Christian. Um
Mhm.
and that's just with like the new like casting initiative. But I think in the first like I would say 40 I'm trying to think of like was there like a Buddhist cast member that talked about being Buddhist? Like, not really. Like, even like in China, like, I think PG talked about being Chinese, but she didn't talk about like religion or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think there was many Muslim cast members or anyone talking about. I think it was very like Christian. Like, I don't think Survivor was ever preachy. But I think that because they were casting like mostly white people, like
It's
it was
it's
just
very
Christian.
Eurocentric.
Yes,
Like, yeah.
yes. So
Which
yeah,
is kind of like what I'm getting into when I say like it felt like a very Christian show at the start, that's if they focused on any religion at all, it was Christianity. And I was just curious about your thoughts on that.
yeah,
And Dirk,
no.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, there's the four of Sue and Rich and Rudy and Kelly, and then Sean and Dirk are like. I love this storyline of Sue being like, "These annoying ass dudes, get the fuck out of here."
Sue.
He hated them.
I love her. I love her. Because she's right. She's right. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, I feel like you go to Rich on this tribe for the strategy talks, but
Right.
you go to Sue to get the tea. I'm like, what are the
Right. Right. And that's why Sue would get my vote in Final Tribal. But like Dirk, it was just like, okay, like we don't have to get into it, but like I grew up in a very religious family, and Dirk just brought me back to a place of all these youth pastors that just made me want to drag my eyeballs back. Oh my God, drop my Celsius. I'm so passionate about this. It made me like it brought me back to a place with all these youth pastors. Like the way that he was just like sitting by the tree and had his hand on his head. And it's like it brought me back to a place where I was like, get him out of here. Get him out. Don't need this.
Yeah, I think that he just wasn't very like well adjusted socially for a game like this. Like I think he was really there to like get closer to the Lord and like learn
Right.
about the
This was
Lord.
like a this was a retreat, not a retreat. What do they call it? A
Yeah, no,
missionary trip.
yes, exactly. It was a retreat. And yeah, he just kind of annoyed people. He really the only time he was ever really shown is when they're like low key poking fun at him, like whether it's because he's a virgin or whether he is like socially awkward or whether he's preachy and like weird with the
Right.
Bible. Like, so it's yeah. I mean, I part sometimes this show is like very like Christian vibes, but like they really kind of poked fun at him. So
Yeah. But I also saw that like a lot of the tribe mates too were also very concerned about his health. I feel like that was kind of like a big point. Like he was kind of like not he wasn't like necessarily sick like Ramona was, but I feel like they kind of focused on him losing weight at a faster rate than other members of the tribe. So I
Yeah.
wonder if like part of it was also like a sympathy vote. They were
Well, I think part of it is
a
like
pity.
they didn't want to say I want to vote him out because he's an annoying Christian. They're like I'm gonna voting him out because oh my gosh he's just losing so much weight. It'd be better if he just left.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's why I give him a F. F.
I'm gonna give him like a D minus
What brought him up to a D for you? Please enlighten me.
because he was able to make it at least through two tribals.
That's such a boring reason, Derek.
Like he wasn't like someone that like everyone was like, oh, we need to get rid of him immediately.
Right. Is that what makes a good game to you?
What do you
Is
mean?
that is that what brings a bad game from an F to a D for you? Just because they're like, we don't need to get rid of him just
Yeah,
yet.
for me, Fs are like
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
you are so out it like you're horrible, terrible. D minus is like you're not good, but at least you can make it a couple tribals.
yeah.
Like, you're not like
Okay.
a like we're like getting rid of you as soon as we possibly humanly can.
Right. Okay. Okay, that's fair. I
Yeah.
don't grade like that. F.
So now we have the last vote before the merge. And this is an interesting one. It's Joel on
Clug.
Pagong. Joel
Jo-
Clug. Joel
what a
Clug.
name. I love that name first off. Can I say
So
Joel
this is,
Clug?
this is an interesting one because Joel like really was just kind of like around. Like it seemed like he got along with people, but Gervase makes a pretty sexist comment about women being stupider than cows or something like
Yeah.
that. And Joel like laughs at it. And I think that they were like just looking for a reason to get rid of him because they weren't
Yeah.
like, oh, Gervase, you sexist pig, you're out. They were like, Joel, you laughed? You laughed at that? Oh, it's curtains.
Right. Why do you think they like targeted Joel before they targeted Jervis?
I think and maybe this is an inference or maybe this is something I actually heard. I can't remember. But I think that like this wasn't the first kind of chauvinist thing that Joel had done. Whereas like Jervis seemed like a really fun person to hang out with and like
Hmm.
they really liked Jervis. So for him that was like a one-off comment. But for Joel, like finding it really
It
funny.
was it
That was,
consistent?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Because this
Okay,
is
that's
really
T. I
like
didn't know that.
yeah, this is like Jenna's kind of breakout episode because Jenna is like, no, we're not doing this. Like the women are going
Jenna,
to
thank
stick
you.
together and get this chauvinistic pig out of here.
Okay, I do kind of remember that. Like, because she don't know, I did not know who Jenna was, but I do kind of remember like her being like, "Oh my God, Jervis just said the rudest thing to us." I do remember all the tea from that episode. That was kind of like, I do not, how do I want to phrase this? I do not remember who Jenna was prior to the season, especially prior to my rewatch. But then this season, or sorry, this episode, I was like, oh, I kind of remember. She was the one who like spearheaded the men going home at this like pre-merger. I remember this. Um, but Joel was like, he for sure was there. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the relationships aren't as clear on Pagong as they are on Tagi. Maybe it's because there were like more separate lines on Tagi of like the ins and the outs.
right.
But Pagong seemed like Greg and Colleen really were like friendly. They liked each other a lot. They were there for the same reasons. Gretchen was like team mom, just trying to keep this train, the ship afloat. And then like Jenna was there, Gervase was there, Joel was there, kind of
Right.
just vibing.
For sure. That's literally all the commentary I have on
Yeah,
this man.
yeah.
F plus.
I'll give him like a, I'll give him a D plus.
Good for you. Good for him. Yeah.
So now we have the merger, as they call it, the merger, and we have they both have six. Well, wait, how many people do they have left now? Five.
It's 5-5.
So yeah, they have five and
Because I
five.
said that in the recap when I watched the when I watched the recap right before filming this episode.
And this is where like Rich and Sue pulling together this like Tagi four comes to like for not what's the
Fruition.
not fruition, but like it pays off. The dividends are paid.
Okay.
Because
Bye.
you have the Pagongs who like all vote differently. There's like it's like Gretchen, Jenna, Greg. Like they're voting
Right.
for a completely different person. There's no consistency, no strategizing or plotting.
Is this the episode where the diva was like, I think it was Gretchen, where she was like, it's me. Or was that this episode, or what season was that?
I don't know. I-
There was like, I think I'm almost positive it was this season, but I remember I was watching when I was rewatching this episode. There was like, I'm pretty sure it was like pre, or sorry, post merge, but pre like, or what's it called? Purgatory, mergatory,
Purgatory.
the purgatory. Um, where like this girl, like she did not expect to go home. I'm almost positive it was Gretchen, but she did not expect to go home, and she was like, they started counting the votes, and she was like, oh, it's me or something. I'm almost positive it was Gretchen, but
Gretchen. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's me.
I don't
yeah, it
remember.
was kind of like iconic to like see the Tagi like tribe sort of come into full force here. Like I think they recognize that merge is like kind of the most dangerous time to be. So they were like, we really got to like not what's the word like pull in ranks or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I really like to see that. But on the note of Gretchen, so you might know that I first watched Borneo a year ago. And then for this podcast, I rewatched it about a month ago. In my rewatch, I was watching this, and especially like pre-merge, I was watching this season and I was like, there are so many people here I've literally never seen before in my life. And Gretchen was one of those people. I'm like, I swear to God, I did not see her in my first watch through of the season. She was not there, and I feel like they're trying to gaslight me into thinking she was always there. She was not.
Yeah. I mean, like Pagong is just very forgettable. There's not
Mhm.
any strategizing going on. So you're kind of only going over there when there's some like drama,
Drama.
like when you talk about like, oh, we're building a fire, like okay. But Gretchen
Right.
was the leader. It was smart for them to take out the leader because exactly what you would expect. You take out the head and the tails go running. I don't know what the phrase. The no one knew what to
You
do
cut
after.
off the head, but the body still, or whatever. Yeah, wait, I don't know it
Whatever.
either,
Yeah,
actually.
like so I'm gonna give Gretchen low key like a B plus because like she was able to run Pagong. Like who she wanted to go home went home every time. Sure.
Run Pagong. Like, what is there to run? That's like,
Like she was able
girl,
to
that's like running the
she was
dump.
she was the leader. She made
Right.
sure that what she wanted happened. But the second it came down to like merging, like she wasn't able to, you know, pull in the ranks and get everyone on the same page because she just wasn't
Right.
there. Like she didn't realize like that's where the strategy was. But I still think she did a good job on her starting tribe, and I low key would love to see her back at some point, just to see
Has
like
she never come back?
no, she's never come back.
No, it's a spoiler for All Stars, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. But considering this bitch existed, I think that you can infer that she's probably not back on.
I mean, I'm sure what's his face from Australia too, the runner up. I'm sure he's been back. Doesn't mean I remember him. But
Please. Yeah. So she seemed lovely. I liked her on her original tribe, and she got taken out. So
I don't think she seemed lovely. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. Don't remember her. Give her okay. I'll be generous. I'll give her like a D. I'll give her a D.
and Loki, I feel like we can kind of like fly through some of these pagongs because like it's just like Greg goes, Jenna goes, Gervase goes, Colleen goes, and none of them have a game. None of them have a game.
Right. Right.
Greg is an iconic person on the season. The like phone call with his sister when when Rudy's like, I think there's incest going on. Like, it's an iconic moment, and he was just there to troll, and he was fun.
Yeah. Sure. I think there's a lot of iconography for him being the first individual immunity winner ever. Um, I thought he was a funny character, but I don't know, like he was just a troll. He was just there for like a good time, I think. But I genuinely have no opinions on him because like he's like plain Jane to me. Like it's like I have no opinions on him because he's just a troll. He's like a band kid. So I'm just like, whatever.
So yeah, I'm gonna give Greg. I'm gonna give all these people a C minus because like
Greg.
Greg.
Oh, Greg. Sorry.
Oh my god.
I
Um,
thought his name was Brad. Sorry.
no,
Okay.
because I feel like they're good enough players that they can get along on a tribe. They can make the merge, but they're not able to like strategize or like do what's needed to.
Yeah. I think like the next three, I think they tried. They definitely, okay. they tried a big swing, but like a big swing in like T-ball. You know what I mean? Like their big swing was like minuscule, but they still tried, I think. But Greg Heffley, I'm gonna give like I'll give him a D plus. I'll give him a D plus.
C minus. Because also he was a provider on the first tribe. Like he did a lot to help.
Sure,
Um, then we
if you
have
say so.
then we have Jenna Lewis, who is known for one thing on the season, which is not getting her loved one video.
Sorry,
And
that was
she's like,
funny.
she's like the mother, like she has like two daughters at home, and they're like, Jenna, you're up. Oh, actually, they didn't send one.
Is there like tea about that? Like, did they like actually try to send one and it got lost overseas, or
I don't
did they just
know.
never
I
send
I
one?
do not the like oh man, this like computer scene where they have this like brick of a computer and they're all like on AOL Messenger, like talking to their like it's like wild.
This season is so funny because it's so 2000.
Yes, it's very that. It's very funny.
But it's like it cracked me up. I know it's supposed to be like so emotional, but it just cracked me up when Jenna didn't get one from her family because it's just like, of course that happens, you know? It's like, of course. And then it cracked me up even more when Gervase was like, oh my God, now people are going to sympathize with her, which makes her a threat to me. And it's like, hey, Gervase.
Yes. Well, and so this is the episode. Jenna famously goes home because of Sean's alphabetical voting strategy.
My favorite strategy of all time. I think somebody should bring that back because I think that would be such a blindside if somebody started like voting alphabetically. I think somebody should bring that back.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny because basically we're at like there's five Tagis, there's four Pagongs, and Rich is thinking like Sean is voting for Jenna regardless because she's next in the alphabet or whatever.
Hmm.
And if the four Pagongs vote for the same person and the four Tagis vote for like someone that's different than Sean, then it's a 4-4 tie and it comes down to like prior votes or whatever. And it's just like easier to just go for Jenna.
Right, right. Which was like honestly very, it's not even, I was about to say it's not even, or sorry, I was about to say it's a very genius idea, but it's not even that genius. It's literally the lowest hanging fruit I've ever seen, which makes it surprising that Sean did not see the error of his ways when doing that. It's just like so obvious. But
Yeah.
shout out Sean. I love, it's my favorite Survivor strategy of all time. It's like my perfect, to me, what makes a perfect Survivor game is like Sean voting alphabetically and Q from 45 or 46, whichever season, was like, those are my two favorite like Survivor gameplays of all time. Like Sean and Q. I adore it. I adore it.
It's wild. I'm
Hmm.
gonna give Jenna a C minus. She definitely annoyed some people, but she also kind of got in with Kelly, and Kelly did not want to vote out Jenna. Um, so it was like a little storyline for Kelly that kind of sets up her end game.
Yeah. What did I give Stacey? Did I give Stacey a C plus?
I don't know. I think you gave her like an F, a D or something.
Stacey?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe. Okay, because I'll give Jenna like a C minus. I'll give her a C minus. I think she tried. I definitely think she tried. Um, her and Colleen had a little moment of like strategy for their little reward when they were drinking their Bud Light. So they tried. They gave it a good go. So I'll give her a C minus.
Okay. Up next we have Gervase, who was a very, very fun presence on the season.
I like Gervase.
He's great.
I liked him. He was a fun
Great.
time. I don't even think he was that lazy. I thought he actually like did enough around the tribe. And I was very fun when he had a baby. I thought that was a fun moment in the season that I actually remember. I thought
Hmm.
that was cute. That was a fun moment. I don't
Yeah.
know. I liked him.
I
I
like
don't
him.
think he was good
No,
at the game. Oh,
no.
but I will say my favorite moment from the entire season, I think, this like top three favorite moments from the entire season is when is when it was for like the one vote immunity challenge and what's her face, like the runner up, the Kathy, where she was like, I'm
Kelly.
like a trained Kelly. When I was just like, I'm a trained like scuba diver, or what did she say? She's like, I'm a
Uh,
trained
of
rafter
that
instructor or whatever.
rowing instructor.
I'm like a rowing instructor, and Jarvis can't even swim, and I'm gonna beat
Gervase.
him any day of the week. And then Jarvis like wiped the floor with her. That was that. I think that was one of my favorite moments of the entire
It was
season.
because then Kelly's like sobbing, and I'm like, ooh.
We're gonna get to it, but I do not like Kelly.
Oh, I have many thoughts on Kelly. Um, yeah, I'm
But
gonna give
Gervase,
C minus.
I'll give him a C plus. No, I'll give him a C minus. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll give him a C minus.
Okay.
No, a D plus.
Oh,
I don't think he strategized as much as like Jenna and Colleen did. Like Jervis was very good at pointing out when the game was against him, but he wasn't good at like playing back. Like when he was like, "Oh, Jenna is crying, so that's like messes me up and like is a danger to my game," but he wouldn't like do
doing
anything about it. So I'm gonna give him D plus.
okay.
Yeah.
The last Pagong left is Colleen Haskell. Uh, she had so much promise, and I feel like if she was on Tagi, she would be our winner.
I don't know if she would have won. I don't think she would have won, but I think she would have made like top three for sure. I agree with you on that. I think Colleen had a lot of potential. She was just on the wrong tribe at the wrong time.
Yeah, like on one hand, she did get along with, or she did kind of fit in with the Pagongs because they just wanted to have a good time, and she was definitely there at the start to just have a good time. But I think she ended up kind of being like, I'm here, I'm at the merge, let me see what I can do. And
Yeah.
she just wasn't ever able to like crack that final four, alliance.
Yeah. When I said like earlier how like Jenna and Colleen they tried, I think like Colleen tried more than Jenna did. Like Colleen was one who at least was like, she was like thinking of ways to possibly win or make it further, but like she was also not very committal to it. She was like, "Oh, if we happen to do X, Y, and Z, then maybe we could do this." She was like cooking, but she wasn't the meat was still raw, you know what I mean? Um But I do think she had some potential. I think if she were surrounded by the right people that would actually match her level of like strategery and like, that sort of level of concocting of plans, I think she could have made it a lot further. If she were on the same season as Rich, or sorry, the same tribe as Rich, I agree with you. She would have been like so much further. She made it the furthest of the Pagong tribe, which is like in and of itself a good thing. Granted, the Pagong tribe in and of itself was not going to make it that far. So it's not saying much, but even then, she still survived the longest out of them because I think the rest of the tribe knew that she was like fun to be around. And I think the Tagi tribe was also very much like, oh, we could use Colleen, maybe. Like maybe she might be worth it to us down the line. We'll see. So I think that's why she like stayed longer than the rest of the Gong tribe. But I don't know. I will say that too. I really liked how I don't remember who it was, but I really loved how like towards the end where she was like the last or like the last couple of Pagong members, she was like, I know I'm going home next, so I'm just not going to do anything around camp.
I'm like, honestly, work.
Yeah, no, I was like, girl, like, good for you. Like she like knew she was going home, so she's like, I'm not even going to bother trying. But didn't her going home, isn't that the episode that Rich was trying to send Kelly home?
Yeah, so Kelly did not vote with the four for the Jenna vote. And that was kind of Kelly being like, I'm not into this anymore. Like this like
Right,
alliancing and strategizing is not for me. So by this point, when Colleen goes home, like her and Colleen are really close. She's like, I'm not fucking voting her off. And we're just
right,
like,
right.
well, then fuck you. I'm voting you off. But they didn't.
Well, she got immunity, didn't she?
Probably. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because isn't this like when like Kelly actually starts to matter in the season where she actually starts like winning immunity?
Yeah. And I think that's why it's really interesting. Like, what if Stacey and Colleen switched tribes? Because Colleen and Kelly got
Mm,
along. And I feel like Sue would have gotten along better with Colleen than with Stacey. So like
mm.
does that three kind of like run the game with like Rich and maybe Rudy?
Who
If they would have
knows?
maybe they would have voted off Rudy and then maybe Rich would have gone out like I don't know, it would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah. I feel like our conversation is coming back to like Colleen had potential.
Yes.
She was just on the wrong tribe. That's
Yes.
kind of like where it went down to.
Yeah, I think that her intention coming in was like, I want to have an adventure and be silly and stupid on TV. And by the
Mhm.
end, she was more like, I've made it this far. Like, I might as well see what I can do. But there just wasn't any
Right.
wiggle room for her.
Yeah, yeah. Like the minute she decided to start playing is the minute that like she couldn't play. You know what I mean? That's the minute her head was in the game was when there was no game left for her to play.
And it was already on the chopping block. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give her a B minus.
I'm gonna give her a C plus.
Okay, per.
So now the Pagongs are gone.
Oh, also, I do want to say too, I think Colleen, I feel okay. I feel like Colleen has a strong chance of being on All Stars, by the way. I have not gotten to that point yet in this video because I think all the people who are going to be on All Stars are like top seven and beyond. I feel like Colleen is a for sure call for All Stars.
Okay. Um, Now we're all the Pagongs are gone and we're at the top five. It's all Toggies. It's the Toggy four plus Sean, and it's very easy to vote out Sean.
Right.
What did you think about Sean? We kind of talked about him a little bit with his, alphabet strategy, but his bowling, his
I
his hunting, his fish spear thing.
his Super Pole 9,000 or whatever he called it, his fishing rod
Yes.
9,000.
Yes.
I unironically love Sean as a character because he's so archetypal, like straight man, no
Sure.
flavor, neurosurgeon, no flavor, like white rice man. But he was like he was camp in a way. Like, have you ever met a straight man that is so unapologetically straight, or not even unapologetically, but it's just so genetically straight
Yes.
and white that they're kind of camp in a way?
Yes.
Sean is camp to me.
Yeah.
Like his bowling alley, his Super Rod 9,000, the voting by alphabet, my favorite survivor strategy of all time. I unironically love Sean. He's getting a D from me, but I unironically love Sean.
It's so funny because he's a great contrast to like the riches and the Sues, where they're like, we gotta get this person out. We gotta get. And Sean walks up and he's like, look at my fishing spear. Do you want to play a game of bowling with me? I got some pins set up. I
I
just
love
voted
him.
out Miss L. Now I gotta vote out Miss M.
I love him. I love him. He's just wonderful. He's wonderful. I have no opinions on him other than that. I think I'm trying to think of like a good equivalent on Drag Race to like I love about him, but I just can't. I just
Derek Barry in the top four of season 8.
That's crazy.
I feel like
But you're kind of right though.
the top four are all like so serious. They're all like doing really well. And then you have Derek Barry who like walks up and is like, I hemmed this.
Right. But here's the thing too though. Derek Barry's like serious about it too. Like she actually like believes what she's saying. But also that being said, Sean also believes what he's saying too. So I do see the vision. I do see like he built the Super Rod 9,000 expecting the rest of the Tagi tribe to be like, "Oh my God, Sean, this is wonderful. This is an amazing invention." Like he was so earnest about it. So I see your vision about Derek Barry and the rest of the top four.
Well, and like looking at the top five, it's very clear who's like the odd man out there.
Right.
And but you love them. You love Derek Barry. You love Sean.
Right. Love Sean. Love
Love
him.
Sean. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a D plus, honestly, because I feel like
Ooh, a plus.
I just don't think he was playing the game well, but he was endearing enough and stayed long enough that I will give him the plus, the D.
Yeah. It just like cracked me up after his Jenna elimination, after his Jenna debacle, where he's like, where he was like the episode after he was like, I see the error of my ways now. I should never have done this. It's like,
Yeah, girl.
duh. It took you an actual elimination to be like, oh, I should never have done this. Like, girl, I live, I live.
Up next we have Mother, Queen, Superstar, Sue Hawk.
Sue Bird, Sue Bird.
Sue, but as famously as Matthew likes to call her.
I don't even think we talked about this yet on the podcast because this is gonna be the first episode, but it was like I was texting Derek when I was watching Survivor Borneo for the first time, and I would unironically call Sue Hawk Sue Bird because I thought that was her name for the longest time. And Derek would like text me back and be like, Sue Bird. And I'm like, yeah, Sue Bird. She's like,
Sue
because
Sparrow.
I thought that was her name for the longest time. I really did. And even now I have to remind myself her name is not Sue Bird because I genuinely think that's her name. Because I don't know if you like I had to pause just for a second there because I was like Sue Hawk.
Yes.
I have to remember. But
Yes.
now she's like Sue Owl, Sue Penguin, Sue Ostrich.
Pelican, yes.
um, Sue Hawk, out of all the, I've watched, what have I watched? I watched 1 through 6, 15, 44, 44 and 46, or sorry, 44 through 46. So I've watched like about 10 seasons. I think Sue Hawk is my favorite Survivor player of all time. I adore her. Like her and Linda from season. No, I'm
Not
kidding.
Linda.
but I adore Sue Hawk with every fiber of my being. Um, she is by far my favorite Survivor player of every single season I've ever watched. I adore this woman.
She is like television gold.
Uh-huh.
Like the accent, the way that she talks about the how she spells these people's names, famously
Right.
Ramona.
Oh my God,
Um,
wasn't she the one who was like, oh God, what was her name? Wasn't she the one who's like, who when voting out Jenna, she spelled her name like Jean?
Gena, I think it was.
I love her. I love her.
Love her.
Like, oh my God, she is so not even Idgeable. She's like, she transcends Idgeable. She's like IDGAF. Like, she to me is like a mix of like Fierce Delicious and some other transcendent godly being. I like everything about Sue Hawk is just my favorite. Like how you said, the accent is everything. The way she's willing to like trash talk people behind their backs and to their face. I adore it. I feel like to me, I can see how she might actually be like one of the original archetypal like characters of Survivor. I'm sure I share a lot of the sentiment towards her that many Survivor fans do, because I can recognize early on the iconicness of this woman. Um, were fans at the time, were they like, did they respond well to Sue, or was she like
I would,
controversial like
yeah,
Jerry was?
yeah.
Okay.
I would say like a lot of the like all of the top four were like huge stars, but Sue, people loved Sue.
The top four were huge stars and Kelly.
Oh, oh no, like I was thinking about it in drag race terms. Sue is a mix of Fierce Delicious and
Okay.
Kennedy Davenport. Like
Purr.
the flippant, just like whateverness of Kennedy and the like insane like itch bowl of Fierce.
Yeah, okay. No, I see that vision. Like Sue Hawk, ah, I can't even describe it. Like I feel like she to me on this season was also literally the only one that could go toe to toe with Rich. I
Yes.
think she was the only one who was at the same caliber as Rich. Rudy did never stood a chance. Kelly never stood a chance. If Sally had made it further, she would never stand a chance.
Sally. Who the fuck is Sally?
Stacey,
Not Sally.
I genuinely thought that was her name.
This is
Oh
what I
my God.
deal with. This is what I deal with this man. Texting him. He'll text me out of nowhere. And he's like, oh, I fucking hate Topher. I'm like, who the fuck is Topher? He's like, oh, I meant Boston Rob.
Stop it. Oh my God. Because I would. It's like, it's so embarrassing, but I really try. I really do try with these names. I really do.
I feel like you're so used to drag race names that are the most like insane things. Miss Fierce Delicious,
Right.
Thorgy Thor. Like those are so easy. And then someone's like, I'm Rick. I'm Alan.
No, because like that's my problem. I think I remember texting you when like the season 46 cast dropped, and I texted you and I said to you, "How am I supposed to get excited for Survivor? Because these are just people. You know what I mean? These are just people. So like, how am I supposed to remember them when I'm like with Drag Race? Like, there are drag styles, there are fun names I can latch on to, but like these are just people. This is my like grocer down the street at Giant Eagle. You know what I mean? It's like, um, anyways, but Sue Hawk, I genuinely think the only person who had a chance of winning against Rich was Sue Hawk. Actually, no, I maybe not even winning. Because this is kind of like a different era of Survivor where they didn't value gameplay as much as they do now, I will say. But I think Sue Hawk was the only one who had the same level of skill and strategy as Rich did, which is why I think they responded so well to each other, because I think they recognized each other's game. And I
Recognize his
think it's a
name.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's a travesty that she only got fourth place. I really do.
But I think that's exactly why she has to go here for Rich. Like,
Hmm.
has to go. And at this point, like Sue and Kelly's relationship was so fragmented. And I want to
Yeah.
try to check something before I talk out my ass.
The
Um,
rats and the snakes.
so like when it does go to a tiebreaker, and Kelly's not willing to like put her life on the line for this. She's like, Sue, bye. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Richard, I think, was smart to see that like Kelly was so fickle and lost the respect of the alliance, lost the respect of like all these people, that Kelly was not going to win.
Yeah.
And Rudy probably would have won if he made it to the end, but like he had to get there. He had to win something. Sue,
Yeah.
Sue could have like Sue was the only one who had the same um checklist of things that happened as
Mhm.
Rich. Like Rich had a
Yeah, they have the
different
same
story
track
than
record to me.
Rudy. Yes, yes. Different
Yeah.
story than Rudy, different story than Kelly. But
Yeah.
Sue and Rich had the same thing. So he couldn't go there to the end with her.
Now, the thing is too, so Sue went home on a tiebreaker, right?
Yes.
If I remember from season two correctly, isn't the tiebreaker if like they had been in like a deadlock again, if Kelly had not flip-flopped, wouldn't have Rich gone home? Isn't it based on who had like more votes up until that point?
Yes. I'm a little bit unclear on like who had the most votes and stuff, like that what if, but yes.
Okay. So if Kelly had not flip-flopped, Rich probably would have went home, which I think is kind of crazy.
Well, and that's
And
another
Sue might
thing.
have won the season.
Yeah, Rich did a great job of making it seem like there's no way he's gonna win. He's this villain, and Kelly being like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
get this bitch."
Yeah. Yeah. I think Rich, we'll get to Rich, but we'll get to Rich in that game about how he presented himself as unlikable, which I think is very smart. But we'll get into that. I think Sue going home at fourth was a crime, but you bring up a good point how Rich was kind of able to play for her to leave at that point. Because Kelly is a no, I won't say it. let
What
me
would you
let me
give?
defa- let me defame her name 24 years after the fact.
What would you give Sue's game?
I would give Sue an A. No, okay. Yeah, yeah. I said at the start of the video I was only giving out one A. That's a lie. I'm giving out two A's. I would give Sue an A. Maybe an A minus. I'd give her an A minus because I say that she was the only one who could go toe to toe with Rich, but I do think that Rich had a little bit of a better game than Sue did. I think Rich kind of had more. Rich was more conscious of how he was presented as a character to his tribe mates than Sue did. And I kind of think that's where Sue sort of like fell in the back burner compared to Rich. Or maybe Sue was conscious of how she was presented. She just didn't care. But rather, I think Rich was more like strategically figuring out how he would present himself, rather. Um, so I think that's kind of where Sue's downfall was at the very end. But despite that, though, I think her game up until that point was very good. I'm going to give her an A minus, and I'm almost tempted to bring it up to an A simply for the rats and snakes speech.
Which was everything.
Everything. Oh my God, that was like so gagged. That whole minute and 30 seconds that she had at the final tribal, like that that was my favorite moment of Borneo, right there, point blank,
Yeah.
period.
And I think that's a lot of people. Like that like was that was a TV moment, and I think
Hmm.
what truly like solidified that this was going to be like a juggernaut of TV.
Yeah. Did you watch the season live? How old were you when the season
I
came out?
was like two. No, I did not
Oh,
watch
okay.
that.
Sorry. Am I calling you old? Are you still
Yeah,
on are you
like
still on your
okay.
parents' insurance?
Damn. Yeah, I'm like 12 when this came out. The fuck? Yeah, no. But I think I would give Sue a B plus because I
Okay.
think she did great when she was in the alliance. But I think that she kind of like didn't give herself any other options once they got to the merge. And
Yeah.
once she's at that four, she's played herself into a corner because she's turned against Kelly and Kelly's turned against her. And Rudy is Rich's number. Unless she wins, she's out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there are more
Well,
things she could have done to maybe set herself up better at the end, but also this is the first fucking season. Like no one's thinking about that.
yeah, no one cares at this
Except for
point.
Rich.
So
Except for Rich.
right. I think at the time when nobody knew how to play Survivor well, I think Sue and Rich did the best they could.
Yeah.
I think Sue did the best she could, and then it just floundered at the last second, which happens. That happens.
Yeah.
But she's the other person I think is for sure call on All Stars.
So Colleen and Sue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we have third place, Rudy Bosch, who is a like legend of this game, one of the most famous, beloved contestants of all time. He gets outed by Rich in a really smart move where they're doing the final three challenge, and all they have to do is stand there and touch a pole. That's all they have to do. And Rich knows that he can outlast Rudy. He knows that he might not outlast Kelly, but he knows he can outlast Rudy. But Rich decides to step down and force Kelly to then make the decision to take out Rudy, because if Rudy goes to the end, he's winning. Like, he's a vet. Like, he really was just like, chill, and people were like fine with him. And they did not like Rich, and they did not like Kelly. So Rudy was going to win the game if he made it to the end, I'm pretty sure. So by Rich throwing that challenge, he's then forcing Kelly to take out the one that everybody likes and make her look even worse.
Yeah. First off, I did not know what you were talking about when you first said that Rich outed Rudy. I was like, I missed this plot point. I was like, what are you talking about? But Rich is so smart. I love smart people. I adore smart people. You think so?
Yes.
Yeah. Or like, when you say winning move, like, do you mean sort of in the sense like that is the one move that Rich can point to and say, I did this to cause X, Y, and B, or X, Y, and Z? Or do you say like that is the one thing that got Rich to the end? Like, what do you mean when you say like that's the winning move?
I think that move is what secured his win. Like, by doing that, he won. Like, if he wins the challenge and takes out Rudy, I think they might vote for Kelly. If he goes to the end with Rudy, I think Rudy wins. It was like, it was a big thing to take out Rudy there. And I think by forcing Kelly to do it, it made her look even worse by taking Rich, someone everyone thought was a snake.
Okay, good. If Kelly was at the bottom of the barrel, I'm so glad she went deeper.
Your hatred of this woman.
It's not even like that strong.
Yeah. I'm going to give Rudy a C plus. I think that he didn't do much. I think he definitely rode Rich and Sue's coattails.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think Rudy had like quite literally a one episode storyline.
Yes.
And then he just made it all the way to the end. Because at the start of the season, BB and Rudy, I hated them both on the same level. I thought they were both like the type of men that I despise at the start of the season. But then as the season went on, Rudy just like fell so far into the back burner that I like forgot how I felt about him. And I was like, oh yeah, Rudy, he's cool, I guess. I'm like, it was just so funny watching him. Just not only did he, like the rest of the cast, not know how to play Survivor, he also just did not know what to do on TV. It cracked me up every time he like would make a vote and he would just like and he would just like stare, he would not even stare blankly into the camera, he'd stare like into the trees behind the camera. It just cracked me up. I'm gonna give him a D plus. I think he was smart. I think he knew to align himself with Rich early on. I think he recognized the skills that Rich had early on, but he had no imagination beyond that. I think he just said, we're gonna stick with Rich the entire time and make it as far as we go. But he was also very indifferent to how far he made it.
Yeah. Well, and also something that I think was a direct contrast to BB is Rudy says in the first or the second episode, like, I'm the one on the outs. Like, I'm the oldest here. I need to relate to them. I don't want that. I don't need them to relate to me. If I want them to relate to me, I'm out. But if I can relate to them, I have an in. And that's what saved him. That's why he's there. And that's why BB is out, because BB would not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some. It was interesting watching Rudy kind of like develop, but I use that term very lightly. It's kind of like interesting to see. How do I want to phrase it? It was interesting to see how far Rudy came, not as a journey, but how far he came chronologically. Yeah, I'd say so. I think he had some game there, but he just did not care whether it worked or not. So,
yeah,
D plus.
And now we have Matthew's favorite contestant on this season. The reason I decided to stick with the show, we have Kelly Wigglesworth.
I want you to start.
Kelly, I think, could have won this game if she was able to just like swallow her pride a little bit. Like, I think she really wanted to, like, she saw how negatively Sue and Rich were seen for like making these moves, and she's like, no, girl, like I'm not like that. Like I'm my own person. I'm not gonna just follow orders. I'm not gonna like be shady and sneaky. Like if she had just committed, I think she wins the game. But
Mm,
she couldn't do that. Like because she was likable. People liked her. People were attracted to her. But then when, she pushes Sue away and she like turns on the four and she's like, I'm my own person. I'm like, girl, no. Like it's just you have been doing this for like weeks now. Just stick with it. You have like 10
yeah,
days.
right. I, especially in Survivor, and I see this more often in the early seasons than I do in the newer seasons because I think people know what the newer seasons, or sorry, tribe members on the newer seasons knows what it takes to win Survivor. I hate a diva that's like, oh, I can't play this game because my moral code is too fragile and too honored. It's like, shut up. What did you think you were signing up for? Like, she seems like a lovely person. She does. I do like that she had a moral code, but I hate that she remembered she had a moral code in the last three eliminations.
Mhm.
Like she was like had no problem playing along with the Tagi tribe, playing along with the Tagi four in like the pre-merge, the post-merge. She had no problem doing it then. Then in the last minute, she's like, oh no, I can't. I'm too good and virtuous and my moral code is being compromised right now. And I'm just like, girl, own it. I'm sorry, like own it. And I think Sue ate her up in the last minute, where in the final tribal, where she was like, you pretended like you were not playing a game when you played a game for 26 out of the 39 days or whatever it was. And I did not respect me personally, me, Matthew, be like, I did not respect how at the last minute she's like, I'm so virtuous. I can't do this. I'm so nice. I think she was going through some emotional turmoil on the inside, but I'm like, girl, suck it up. I shut up and win this thing, you know? It's just like she lost all conviction at the very end. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and there's no shame in playing the middle. I love
Mm,
a person who plays the middle and can play it well. But she was fully on one side, like
yeah.
100%, and then tried to play the middle, but it was too late. Like it was
Yeah.
too late because she's like, if she had joined Colleen and Jenna and
Hmm.
Dirk, like voted out the Taggies, that's one thing. Then I'm like, oh, slay,
Right.
that's a move. But like, she didn't. She voted for Sean, who like was not going home.
Yeah. It's like to me, what it was like, I feel like what she wanted to do is she wanted to play a big betrayal game. I think she did want to do that. And I think she saw that it didn't work. And because it didn't work, she gave up. And that's when she tried to like spin it on like, oh my God, my moral code is so rock hard and so sturdy. And I can't do this because the minute that she actually tried to flip, the minute it didn't work. And so that's where she tried to like pivot and be like, oh no, no. I can't. It's hard for me to articulate what frustrates me about it, but that's kind of like where my headcanon is on what happened this season, because it is after that moment where she started questioning the tribe and actually tried to play against the tribe, or sorry, the Tagi Four, where that those questions in her mind started to come up. And I think that was her trying to like not rethink her game, but I think that was her trying to how would you put it? Be stupid. I
Yeah, I mean, it was a close vote. It was a 4-3. She did
and
get
thank God.
she got some of the pagongs, but like I just don't see a way that she wins the season with the way that she played.
So true. I agree with you. Also, two things with what you said. Um, so glad that it was like a one time vote that lost her the crown because of what Sue said to her, where she was like, I'm not going to vote for you because, and I hope that my one vote is the thing that loses you the crown. I love that. I love that storytelling right there. Second off, in her final tribal, she also pissed me off with her answer to, I think it was Colleen. Maybe it was, I don't remember who asked her the question, or maybe it was Jenna. I think it was Jenna, where Jenna was like, okay, if there were two people in this game that you think should be in the final instead of you two, who would it be? And she chose two divas that were not in the jury. she chose Sonja and I don't remember who else. She chose Gretchen. And I'm like, girl, first off, suck it up to the jury. Pick two people in the jury and maybe you could like win this. Like, why would you pick two divas not in the jury? And then like Rich was over here, he like picked Rudy and Greg. Like obviously Rudy was his friend, and then Greg, I feel like that was like him trying to like get like one last vote from Greg. But she was like, yeah, I picked Sonja and Gretchen because I really like them as women and I think they could have done better. Girl, pick somebody in the jury, try anything, but you had to pick two divas that nobody remembers. Okay.
Yeah. Swallow your pride and say Sue. Just Sue, you played a good game. You committed to your game and you should
Yeah.
and Sue would
Right.
probably be like, say that. Well, let's say one more time, please.
Yeah, it was like I'm honestly gonna give her like an F. If we're getting by your scale, honestly, where she tried to play a game and it blew up in her face, I'm gonna give her an F. I think it blew up in her face.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Maybe I might concede to a D minus. I might concede to a D minus, but if I were to do that, that would imply that at least something went right with her game. Literally nothing went right with her game except joining the Tagi 4. But whenever she tried to do anything by herself, never worked. F plus.
it's hard because like I think she did make the right decision in going with Sue and Rich and cutting Stacey. Um, I don't think Kelly could have had a if she stuck with Stacey, I would have been the Stacey show. Um, but then yeah, it's hard because I think her early game is good, her latter game is atrocious. So I'm gonna say C minus.
Okay, good. Am I going to get hate for hating Kelly Wigglesworth? Is this like a controversial thing?
I don't think she's hated. I don't think she's hated. But I definitely think that like if she would have won, people would have been disappointed because I think people were really rooting for Rich despite him being
Okay.
the villain. And I think we can talk about Rich, our first ever winner, game
Mm,
out gay man, first
hmm
survivor. I know that's right. He came in
hmm
and he saw the vision. I don't know if
Right,
Burnett saw the vision. I don't know if Jeff Probst saw the vision. Richard
right.
Hatch saw the vision.
Genuinely, this is coming from a new Survivor play, like new Survivor watcher. This is coming from somebody who's like, first season was 44. Survivor would not be as big as it was at the time, and Survivor would not be the game that it is today without Rich Hatch. Like
Yeah,
Rich Rich wasn't even the blueprint. Rich was like literally the first paper that was printed. Like Rich was the papyrus of what Survivor gameplay is. You know what I mean? Like he was the material that the blueprint was printed on. And I just like I can see that in his gameplay, and it is so fascinating that there was somebody in this Genesis season that was able to see the vision, how you put it, that was able to see the vision like Rich did. And I love that. I love that so much.
yeah. And I feel like these are seasons you've all seen. Seasons 2 and 3 are pretty by the numbers. No one's doing anything crazy. I think we don't see people playing like Rich again until Nalea, Pascal, and Kathy and Vesepia in Marquesas.
Yeah,
And like potentially Boston Rob.
right.
But like, so if Rich hadn't done it in season 1, how much longer would it have taken for people to pick it up again?
hmm
Because even like season 5 is very by the numbers. I think
Yeah,
4 and 6 are very like gamer games early on. But if
yeah.
Rich wasn't there to do it in season 1, would that have happened in seasons 4 and 6?
I don't even think this show would have gotten a season 4, 5, or 6 if it wasn't for Rich Hatch. I really
Uh,
don't think so.
yeah,
I think Rich is what made the gameplay of Survivor entertaining because I think he showed people what the potential of it could be or what potential that gameplay could fulfill.
yeah. And I think you have the push and pull because you have the people that are like, I'm just here to have fun. Like, I'm just here to
hmm
like be friends with everyone. And then you have Rich and Sue that are like, I want $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think like the one thing too that really helped not only his gameplay, but the storyline of his gameplay is that we had all of these individuals in the very early game, in the very, very early game, like I almost called her Sally again.
Stacey.
Susan?
Stacey.
Um, like oh, Susan, that's Sue Hawk. um, we had like these people early game that like did recognize that potential of Rich, And I think that as a storyline perspective, kind of like made us give sort of like conditioned us into like giving him the sort of winner edit, um, which I think kind of like also was a blueprint for like what storylines could develop for Survivor going down the line. Sorry, were you about to say something?
No, there was a hair I was blowing away.
um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I feel like the other thing too that I really liked in that mindset of like the sort of storylines that we're developing from these early players too is that the people who questioned Rich were all gone pretty early on, and then the people who started questioning him in the middle had no gameplay to like, or sorry, had no, as you said earlier with Colleen, had no wiggle room in order to like sort of bounce back on him. So I think the whole time we as viewers were like, oh, we know Rich is a good player. But on that note, I think there are sometimes that Survivor players, not Survivors players, sometimes that Survivor producers try to convince us that people are good at the game when they're not. I think Rich was actually good at the game, and I think the edit knew that, and I think they tried to like develop the storyline for a winner for him. I don't know.
Yeah. And so there's all types of ways that people judge a player's game or like rank a player's game, like ranking winners and stuff like that. Like there's no like clear cut way. Something that some people do is like, are you ever in danger? And if someone is in
Mm,
danger ever, it lowers their ranking because a good survivor player should never be in danger. I tend to like, I'm on the other side where it's like if you're in danger and can get out of it, that
yeah,
shows you that you're a really good player. And Rich had his name in everyone's fucking mouth this entire
right.
season and was still able to make it to the end.
Yeah, I think we kind of like hinted at it earlier too, is like a lot of the players on the season, like the people who were actually willing to play the game, like Sue and yeah, Sue and yeah, actually, no, but the people who were actually like willing to play the game, I think they made the false assumption thinking that Rich was so unlikable that he wouldn't win. But they recognized him as a threat, but they also made the assumption that like, oh, nobody likes him, so he's not going to win. Um, but Rich, the thing about Rich that separated him from the rest of the cast, and Sue, who I like said earlier was like probably the second best player in this cast, the thing that separated him from Sue, for example, and the rest of the cast was that he was conscious of that at all times. I think he knew what character he was presenting, and in addition to that, he cared what character he was presenting. He knew how to present himself in a certain light that would make him a dis unlikable enough that people would underestimate him, but cunning enough that they would recognize his game at the very end in order to vote for him. Um, where Sue rather was just like, I'll say what I want. I don't care what you think about me. You know what I mean? Rich also did not care what people thought about him, but he cared how his competitors thought about him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also when looking at like the best players, whatever, I think there's a difference between players who can get by just being good socially and
Hmm.
players that like make a move, like a move that you can physically like, this is what I did here. And I feel like
Yeah.
Rich at the final three, making sure that Kelly was the one to take out Rudy, that was a move. I think that was the biggest
Hmm.
of the season and one
Yeah.
of the biggest moves of the first 7 seasons, I would say.
Hmm.
And I feel like that is what makes him like one of my favorite winners is like, yes, he was able to rely on just his strategy, but he wasn't relying on his social ability because he was
Yeah.
smarmy and people didn't really like him that much. And it was really the moves that got him to the end.
I actually am going to disagree with you. I think it was a mixture of both because it was kind of like what I'm getting into earlier is that like he may not have been a good social person, but I don't think that necessarily equates a bad social game. I think what makes a good social game on Survivor, granted, in my 10 seasons that I've watched, I think what makes a good social game in Survivor is being able to understand what character you are able to present to your competitors and how that might respond to the characters of your competitors. I think a good social game means being able to jerry rig that in a way that benefits you in the end, whether that means you present yourself as a good, sociable person, amicable person, or a standoffish person. I think a social game means characterization.
That's fair. I think for me, I also think of like the three pillars of Survivor: the social, the strategic, the physical. And
Mm,
if I were to categorize Rich under one, it would be the strategic. I don't necessarily think of
true.
Rich as like, oh, this incredible social player who was friends with everyone and everyone wanted to work with him. Like he
Hmm.
definitely like didn't have many friends. You know what I mean? Like he had his Toggy Four, and some other people, like I think Greg did like him by the time that Greg went home, but like people weren't like, I want to work with Rich. Like he
Right.
didn't have all of these options. He just had one option that he was really good at keeping together for as long as he could.
Winning. Oh, yeah, that too.
Yes. Yes.
That was his
So
one option.
because of what he showed, and I guess this might be like a little bit of a curve, but with the strategy that was going on around him and his level, I'm giving his game an A.
Oh, yeah, I'd give him an A too.
Like
Yeah.
I thought about A plus, but like I think A is good.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize A plus was an option.
Oh, A
I
plus is an option.
I'm I'm also going to give it an A. I'm not going to give it an A plus because I see the developments. I see the foundations for what a really good Survivor game looks like. I think Rich is a trailblazer. And I feel like in my time watching Survivor, I still have not seen what a perfect game of Survivor looks like. But with Rich, I see the foundation for one that could be a perfect game. Um, so I'm still waiting for like that perfect game, and I feel like I'm gonna see it sometime in like the next 20 seasons. My God. But I see the blueprint here. So I'm gonna give him an A.
And with that, we have the full cast of Survivor Borneo rated. What would you give this season out of 10?
I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8 because a lot of the season was just watching people like flounder around because they don't know what Survivor is. But I think the two people that did understand what it was, Sue and Rich, I think they made it. They made it as good as it could have been at that time. So I'd give it like an 8. I think they kind of pushed it up above like a 6 or a 7. So yeah, what would you give it?
I think I give it a 7. I think that
Okay.
pre-merge is really fun, and you
Hmm.
see a lot of cool characters that like low key go home, like, but they like flesh out why they go home. So it's
Yeah.
fun. I think after
What?
Gretchen's elimination, the Pagonging episodes get pretty bland. But once
Hmm.
the finale comes and you have the top four, I think it gets really, really good again.
Yeah, I agree. Before rewatching Borneo for this podcast, when was the last time you watched this season?
A very, very long time ago. I think I watched
Okay.
it in I think when I was rewatching for
In
Winter.
college, in 2005?
Well, I honestly think I might have watched it in like 2019. Uh,
Okay. What was it like for you, like rewatching it then for the first time
um,
in 6 years?
I think that I think because I watched it in 2019, that like novelty of like what it was like was gone because
Okay.
I was rewatching a lot of seasons before Winners at War, specifically the ones of like
Oh,
that like I hadn't seen in a long time.
okay. Is
So
Rich on Winners at War? Don't tell me.
I
Don't
was
tell me.
rewatch. I was rewatching a lot of seasons back then.
Uh-huh.
I think I did just watch those first couple seasons. I think 1 through 4 I just watched. And so because I'd seen it not that long, like 5 years ago, it wasn't like jarring to be like, oh my god, like the
Okay.
challenges. Because I remembered thinking that the last time I watched it.
Yeah. Are there any seasons that we're going to rewatch that probably will be like that? Like, are there a lot of seasons you haven't watched in like 10 plus years?
Yeah, the
Okay.
ones I'm really excited to rewatch because I haven't watched them either since they aired or like shortly after. Vanuatu, um, Fiji, and Gabon. You don't know what that means, but those
No.
three that like I have not watched since they were on, but for different reasons, I'm excited to rewatch.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited to watch them for the first time then, if that's the case.
Yes. So
Um, oh, also, this my last pick for the Survivor All Stars cast, I think I know that Rich is on the cast because I know that some winners come back. So that's my like third and final for sure call for All Stars.
so you okay. Give me the
I'm just like giving like three. Like I feel like three is like a healthy number to
give
pick
me
back.
the three that you think will come back and the three that you would love to come back. Like your dream three and your realistic three. And it doesn't just have to be all stars, just in general, like returnees.
Honestly, I think they're one and the same. I think the for sure calls for all stars. I know some winners come back for all stars season 8. And so Rich, I would love to see Rich back. And I know winners come back like every other week. So I know like I know like they don't care about like Drag Race does where like they don't call winners that much. But here I know Survivor doesn't care. Um so I'd say Rich and Sue, Hawk, and Colleen. I really think those like are one and the same. Those are the people I think are for sure getting a call back. And those are the three I think I would love to see back. Sue Hawk, my favorite player from these early seasons, without a doubt. So I want her back. Rich, my favorite, no, second favorite winner from these early seasons. I think second favorite winner of actually any season I've watched. So I want him back. And then Colleen, I think, had a lot of untapped potential that I would love to see realized on like a fully formed season where she's actually like on a decent tribe.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting season for returnees without spoiling anything, obviously. Because a lot of people saw what the show became and had no interest in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's not that many returnees from this season, and I think it's because the show that they signed up for was not the show that it turned into.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. But Rich is like, that's exactly what I want.
Rich is like, that's the show I made.
Do you think Rich like goes to bed every night and said like I created a reality television show? Do you think he like knows that?
I think that he does. I think that he's cocky enough to be like, yeah, no, I did that. I fucking did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. God, what a moment. Like I hate Rich as a human, but he's so good at Survivor. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was a really, really fun season to revisit. It was a big moment for reality TV in general. And it was the genesis for all the things that are to come, which are some incredible seasons, some insane seasons, some abysmal seasons. But we are going to
Australia.
Yes, we are going to talk about all of them.
God.
There's no schedule for this podcast. When we get to it, we get to it.
Do you think we'll be able to do it? Do you think we'll be able to get through all seasons before season 50 comes out? Because I know 50 is going to be the next returnee season. Do you think we'll be able to do it?
I think we'll be close. I think if we if we like push through, we could.
Okay. I just have to like really stick to like watching the show because it is like I'm not good at like watching the show consistently.
Yeah.
But okay.
I think don't expect a weekly episode.
No.
Do not expect a weekly episode. But
if this was COVID, maybe, but no.
Yeah, no. If the world shuts down, maybe that's the only shot you got at that happening.
Like you're lucky if you get an episode a month. You'll be lucky if you get an episode a month.
I think we can do at least 1 to 2 episodes a month.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that vision. Yeah.
I think we can commit to that.
Okay.
So
but if we stray away from that, then it's
you'll have to follow our Instagram because we will post when new episodes are coming out.
Oh, we're gonna have an Instagram?
I've been thinking about all the cute stuff I could do. I think we could make little and by we I mean me, little graphics of like all of our grades.
Girl.
And like
my list is going to be like FFFF for like everybody.
And then do like Matthew's picks of like who we would want to see come back. And like we could do like who Matthew thinks is going to come back. And then who Derek would love, like my dream scenario, who I would love to come back.
Okay.
In your perspective of someone who doesn't know who all comes back.
Yeah.
And my
no, not at all.
Of like knowing who comes back, but also being like, here's who I really would want.
Yeah. Linda.
And no, he's talking not about that Linda. He's talking about Linda from fucking Survivor Africa, the pre-merger.
What do you mean that Linda?
There's been some Lindas.
Okay, but to me, that is that Linda.
Well, for other people, that's not the Linda they're going to go to in their heads. That's not the immediate Linda. Linda from Africa, obviously.
No, you said that with such disgust. You said pre-merge Linda.
The
from Survivor Africa.
give me a hug. Did your mom ever hug you?
I love her. My God. She's my inspo queen. I adore that woman.
If she's on Cameo, expect a cameo for her for your for Christmas this year.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay. I think that is all for this episode.
Thank God.
Do you have anything to plug?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, well, you know, I don't talk about Survivor on my other channels, but I talk about Drag Race. So I feel like there's a lot of crossover between Drag Race and Survivor fandoms. So if you'd like to follow me on TikTok, my @ is BeLackBoy. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my @ is It's BeLackBoy. And then YouTube is BeLackBoy, BeLackBoy. And then my Instagram is BeLack_Matt_. And then I just am a menace to society on all of those platforms. So follow me wherever you can. And that's pretty much all I have. Derek, where can we find you?
My personal accounts are more personal. So if you want to follow me for drag stuff at the Drag Detective everywhere. But other than that, I think that's it. I have a drag competition program called Drag Duel.
Mm-hmm.
Interested
Yep.
interested in seeing how I run a competition series.
Mm-hmm. Team Dwantasia.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's everything. So expect an Australia episode very soon because we're actually recording a couple ahead of time.
Hell yeah.
We will talk about one of the most iconic, the most viewed season of Survivor ever very, very soon. So
Australia?
Yeah. 50 mil or maybe higher than that. It premiered after the Super Bowl.
What a waste.
Whoa. And maybe on a rewatch, you will enjoy it more.
Maybe. I did not enjoy that season when I first watched it. I love the winner, but I did not enjoy that season when I first watched it. But we'll get into that when we talk about it in the pod.
We're about to rewatch and then record that. And yeah, so we will see you all for Australia very soon.
Mm-hmm.
What's our outro? Do we have one?
I don't think we decided on that.
The gays have spoken.
Huh?
I'm trying to think of like the tribe.
This feels like the first season of Survivor where nobody knows what to do. It's the gays have spoken. Okay.
Rudy like looking off into the wilderness. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a work in progress.
All right. We will see you all for Australia very soon. Bye.
Thank you for watching.